now.
Alright, as you can see, I'm showing you the cards of my Yu-Gi-Oh card game machine type deck. As you can see, I am showing you the traps of my deck. Sadly, I didn't really have many traps that could go well with machine type monsters and stuff, but I just threw whatever traps I could find that were good enough to throw into the deck. So yeah, so I've shown you the traps. Now let's move on to part 2, the spells. As you can see as well, I didn't really have any spell cards that could help out machines, like 7 Complete. That card could have really helped, or other stuff, so I just threw in some good magics I could find, like Lightning Vortex, Fleet, Pigeonholing Book of Spells, which could help me out with seeing what's coming up next and putting it in what order I want it to be. So yeah, you've seen my spells. Now let's move on to my favorite part, my monsters. I've kind of spreaded out my monsters into 4 parts, like an army, kind of. Like my nickname for the deck is known as the Machine Army Empire deck. As you can see, Jinso number 7, Woodborg and Pachi, Union Rider, Searchlight Man. I can't really pronounce that dude. I just call him Battle Enchanted Locomotive. Helping Robo for combat, and Steamroid. If I had any other roids, my deck could be almost like Cyrus Truesdale from Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds. Now I need to grab all these. Now let's move on to the flight part of my deck. I have 2 heavy mech support platforms, which can combine to a machine type monster to increase its attack by 500 points. I have Trap Reactor Wi-Fi, which allows me to destroy traps and deal 800 points of damage to my opponent's life points when he or she activates the trap. And I have Fleet Lock, which abilities only work with the magic card Fleet, which I showed you earlier. Yes, and it's time to explain for that one. Now let's move on to my guys who are packing heavy firepower. Let's see, you got Roulette Barrel with this little blaster beam, and if you roll a die twice, and if your opponent has a monster whose level equals the number of the dice you rolled, then you can destroy it. You got Cannon Soldier, which if you tribute a monster, you can deal 500 points of direct damage to your opponent's life points. You got Overdrive. He's just a car-like tank who has a machine gun attached to it. And X-Head Cannon, one of my main monsters with extreme firepower. Sadly, I do not have Whitehead Dragon, Sea Metal Tank, or XYZ Dragon Cannon, which would make my deck really powerful. Now let's move on to the last 5 pieces, my rarer cards, which I'd like to call the 5 Daggers of Royalty. First of the royalty, the king of my deck's bodyguards. Fuse Dragon, the dual mode beast. He's level 7, but you can summon him without a tribute onto your field, but in exchange you have to cut his original attack and defense in half. And you got Jinso, one of my second favorite machine card in my deck, who can negate the effects of all traps from being activated and prevent them from being activated. Next, you have Robotic Knight, my third favorite, the royal commander of my army, who serves under the Machine King. My Nano Breaker, I nicknamed her the Princess because I don't really have a Machine Queen, or Prince or Princess. And finally, the King, Machine King, who gains 100 attack points for every machine type monster on my side, or just period out on any player's side of the field. So now you have seen the cards in my machine deck. Thank you for viewing.